Welcome to a session here at the HANA Platform. I don't know if some of you already heard some other lectures, tutorials, hands-on about HANA. Are you using HANA? Or do you know?
With SGI, a lot of people use it.
Okay.
Virtualization. I'm interested in virtualizing.
Okay, good. Maybe we can cover this topic as well. This is more or less describing a little bit the platform and special flavor. We have shortly introduced the product HANA Express.
Right.
With the intention to give it out for developers, for people who want to train themselves, so to get familiar with it. Because up till now, as you maybe know, if you as you're selling on SGI, the HANA as well, not everyone can afford a SGI box for his desktop at home. So the intention was to keep it up and running. I want to talk a little bit about HANA and then switch over and really to show how easy it is to apply, to start it, to configure it, that you are able to run a secret statement and start to go on. So the HANA database platform, I do not go into details about the features, but what's important to know, it's a database like any other. So we are supporting here standards like SQL 92, they're compliant. Of course, for any database, we need connectivity. So we are supporting there JDBC, ODBC, OData. These are common industry standards that you can do and develop your own programs. On top of it, beside these database services, we have application services. Here we are talking about, there's an embedded web server, for example, within the HANA, as well here within the HANA Express. So, for example, we have their own management tool built on HTML5, and you can start it. Of course, you can develop your own HTML pages, including some selects with some tables to enrich it with some data. So there you can feel free to do. We have some processing services in HANA. So there's, for example, spatial data, geodata options to work on. And of course, integration, something like ETL, or we call it ELT because we do it the other way around. We do not gather it, transform it, and load it. We load it, and we have the possibility within the object to transform it. So that's why we call it ELT and not ETL. But nevertheless, it's final. You are getting data from outside and bring it in, and finally it's transformed in the data you want to have. Considering for development, of course, you can develop in our flavor product like S4 BW. Then we are talking about ABAP, going with the DBSL to a database. You can have your own application server like Tomcat and can develop something against HANA. There we have best practices and descriptions how to connect Tomcat against HANA. Or even you can have native applications. You can write Python. We have client libraries for Python, for Perl, for other languages as well. I think there's an Eclipse-based development tool available as well. On their side, we have, as we acquired Sybase, we have a tool called Power Designer. This is HANA enabled. So there are several possibilities just to start a development and use HANA as a plain database. These are right now the full-flavored overview of HANA, what we are going to have. And here you have the different points and the different capabilities, what HANA is able to provide you. This is maybe not everything used if you have a BW or S4 on top of it, but these are the rich features of HANA and where you can start developing. As I said, for example, the processing services that we have in embedded text analysis. We have streaming analytics. We have enriched with business functions. Normally, when we talk about functions, we have mathematical functions like average, algorithms, logarithms, and here we have some, I'm not an economist, but there are some rules and formulas which you take in general for your general ledger and stuff. And these are these business functions which we have built already, and you just can use it and do not have to reprogram this on your own. And as I said, on the left side, JavaScript with a web server, and on the bottom, the different features. As I said, this should not be right now a detailed description of features what HANA can have. As I said, the focus is on HANA Express. A little bit an outlook about high availability. This is, I know there are some other lectures, I think already happened. Fabian, I think, has not a second one. After, okay, then there's maybe another one. He's going a little bit more into details here. We have embedded high availability functionalities of HANA, which is based on scale out or system replication or storage replication. If you want there a little bit more details, of course, I would point to Fabian. He's going to explain a little bit more about it, and especially how to automate it. From SAP, you only get the step to manual to do the switch over. If you want to do this automatically, what maybe most of the customers want to do, you have to look out for a kind of cluster technology. And this cluster technology, for example, is SUSE HA, is one of the solutions that we have. Now we come to the HANA Express Desktop Edition for developers. As you see, some parts are gray. This is what we had to do in order to get it up and running on a laptop. So this is a pre-configured, in the easiest way. This is what I'm going to show here, an image, and yeah, you can run it with VMware Player. You can run it with virtual PC or any other hypervisor you want to use. It's limited up to 32 gigabyte. It's for free, it's downloadable, and the support is done via community support. So you do not open up and ticket at OSS on our side, it's just a community, but on the other side it's for free, and you can use it at least for 1 year, but you can at any time renew the license, so more or less it's unlimited. And that's where I right now jump into the demo, and here you have to excuse, I have to sit down. So these are the requirements. You asked on the booth already, we need Java runtime 8. We need at least 16 gigabyte memory. Below 8 gigabyte is not really coming up, so 16 gigabyte is a minimum in order to start and work a little bit with it. At least you need 30 gigabyte free space. If you are working longer and load data, you have to assume that's maybe going up to 120 gigabyte. The image is configured. As you might know, with virtualization, you can configure the size of the disk, but if you start with VMware, it's starting, and at a certain time, it's adding and adding more until the maximum limit. The minimum is what you have to have is 30 gigabyte to start. And if, I think in the moment, the latest laptops, you don't have to switch it on. It will be by default switched on. But this is maybe an option you have to look for, that the virtualization options are switched on, so that VMware Player is not complaining anything. As I said, I'm using the VMware Player. It doesn't matter if you have virtual PC or whatever. So this is not in our interest to tell you what to use. As I said, that should be for a developer, and is not comparable to HANA. Because as you asked, now I'm making a little bit outlook, because you asked for virtualization. In production today, we support VMware, VMware 5.5, VMware 6.0 has been released. We are working heavily on KVM. KVM is now released for non-productive only, but assume it's, I cannot tell you a date because that's like it is. If I now would say something, that would be like an announcement, but we are not talking about years, rather about weeks. So then we assume that KVM is released for a productive use case as well. So, but we do not consider in the moment Hyper-V, so this is out of scope. And even if you right now ask Azure and Hyper-V, this is for us not the same. Hyper-V we consider on-premise. Azure is a solution of Microsoft in the cloud. That's a different story. So Hyper-V is in the moment not considered to be released at any time. So that's not on the roadmap. Xen, we will wait until we have really a demand. In the moment we see everyone is switching more and more to KVM and is not considering Xen as a, what's the right word, private cloud. So we...
There is a KVM version.
Pardon?
There is a KVM version of this. but not production.
In the moment, you can use the KVM version delivered with /12 or can start up and can use a non-production. We are working on it to release it, as I said, within weeks. Don't quote me for how many, but maybe it's this year, but maybe it could be in the beginning of next year, so that we give you the config, how to configure KVM, so that you can run it productively. So in order what you do, you have to go to this page. Here we have a landing page for this. If you just click it or you go, oh, Mr. I close it, Firefox. It's pretty fair and easy. There's a landing page. You can click here. We have two versions. I think the most useful version is this with a virtual image. You click on it. You have to maintain a little bit about your person, name, last name, email address. And then you get the download link. You can download it. Of course, magic. I did it already. Right. So I have downloaded here already on my disk. On the other side, what's quite important that we know, because you get another link for the license. As you know, we have not, everything is not for free, so you get to, it is for free, but you have to apply a license. And with this email, you get another link to download the license, which is in, if you're a little bit familiar with SAP, we have a large TXT file where we have these encrypted keys. Of course, you do not want to type it, so you keep it here as a TXT file and load it later. This is what I'm going to show. The first what you do, quite easy, open virtual machine. Yeah, here it is. Open, have to maintain where it should be stored, import. This is right now taking a little bit time. Some are asking how to use this OVA, because OVA is not known by KVM, but there's just a small command which you can do. You can, first OVA is a tar image, so you can untar it. What you get is a VMDK and a OVF file, that's a description file, and then you can use a QEMU image with the convert option and convert it in any image which is consumable by KVM. I used here the QKQ format. And after this, you can start the libvirt manager. You can and then load it like the VM player right now in the background is loading. You can start the image. So as I said before, we do not care about the environment you have. Even here, it's Windows. So we do not stick right now that everything has to be Linux. Within the image, of course, there's a slash delivered. So there's HANA pre-installed on a slash, and this is starting up. And I hope I talked enough. No, I have to talk more.
I was more interested in running it through OpenStack.
OpenStack.
I just need the QCOW.
The question here is right now, okay, we have right now different, let's say, workloads or work flavors we have to cover. We have on one side the traditional world with S4, BW, on HANA, and I got a lot of questions. Oh, SAP, how do you use this in conjunction with OpenStack? And here the answer is we don't care about it. Finally, whatever is coming out of OpenStack has to fulfill our requirements concerning our PAM, our matrix, concerning hardware requirements. And so if you are managing your data center with OpenStack, fine for us, we do not care. Finally, it has to be an hardware box of our partner. It has to be a storage which we know. So whatever is certified must be the outcome out of your configuration in the horizon level. So this is this part of the story, let's say, with the classical, or some of my sales colleagues name it digital core. The other one is the HCP, and where we are working with Cloud Foundry and the HANA Cloud Platform. There, I assume we are not ready yet, so to say, but there we will classify cloud products like SUSE Cloud, like other maybe cloud distributions, to test it, to make the requirements. Because if we are delivering and shipping solutions based on Cloud Foundry, we have to know that there's a OpenStack version which will fulfill our requirements. So in this area, I bet nearly to 100% that we will go on and will make a kind of recommendation what you have to use in terms of OpenStack, or at least which kind of modules in terms of versions have to be available. Because you can imagine that if we are testing against version X and you have version A, it might not work properly, and then you're blaming us, okay, why it's not working. So that's a little bit different. So with the digital core, we stick to it. Management is your topic, and the platform, the outcome is, because again, OpenStack for me is, beside a little bit management, a tooling to make a fast provisioning. And to be honest, if as we only look, let's say, on productive systems or from ERP or BW, I doubt that you per day are stopping several times your productive ERP system. You do not want to switch around. Normally, a customer started and will run it for months, maybe a year, and doesn't want to touch it. So it means you would configure it once, and then it runs for a very long time.
But you also have ironic bare metal provisioning. So you could, in essence, launch a bare metal SAP HANA image.
Right. This is as well.
Vendor platform, and OpenStack gives you a much easier ability to start and stop and move things around, and
right,
as
but
you said, ultimately you're going to run on your vendor hardware.
All right. But what I want to point it out, very often the OpenStack and Cloud Foundry topic is in conjunction with microservices, starting, giving them a certain amount of CPU, and deleting the service again after a few minutes. This is not the traditional ERP workload or how you run the SAP system. So normally you have started and it's running for, as I said, months or even a year. So this is the difference. So we have an old world and we have a new world. So so if you come here to the image, of course you have to do a little bit configuration. I move it up here a little bit to 14 gigabyte. 8 was a little bit too low. If you want, I have here the possibility to get to 8 processors. I give him 4. And that's only for this purpose here. I go in here, I do a private network. If you have your own data center, because I don't know if I get an IP address right now out of this room and out of this wireless LAN, so I make a private network right now between the laptop and the image. If you're at home, of course, you can really put it in your network and can bridge it, and then it gets his own IP address. So, and then easy, first way. Good. Okay. It's starting. Now you must be sharing. You see your logo. And of course, let's say one of the first steps you have to do, and this is maybe a little bit work, I have to do it here as well. We have some default password, but you are being asked to change it immediately. For example, right now we will see with the login, we have to change the password either on the operating system and within the HANA system. That's one of the first steps to prepare in order to go on, because we do not want to let you go with the default passwords. So, would be, I click here, HXE HANA 1 was the old password. So now it's asking, okay, I have to change my password. I have to put it in again, HXE HANA 1, new password. Okay, retype. And now we are, let's say, already close to see. So for example, if you're a little bit familiar, there's a command http info to see. So the basic processes of HANA are already running. So I have a very small instance which has started. So as I said, we have to change the password on any level. I as well have to change the password on the systemdb as well. So I have to use the http SQL command. This is what I do not want to do. This is always minus u. Minus d system db minus p hxe. So what I want to do here at the next command, alter user system smart. So this was important because right now if I want to, for example, to connect from outside, we have tools which are as well available for the developer, like our HTTP Studio, because not everything you want to do with your command line. Command line is very nice for administrators to do scripting, but of course you want to do as well this with a front-end tool. And here you just go in, say add system. I know that it got the 129 system number, multiple containers. Now you have to know, we by default in the latest version are shipping this multi-tenancy. That means you have a system tenant. This is what we have seen right now. This is where we are connecting right now, but you have to create later on a own tenant where you create tables and do your SQL statements, developing your program you want to do. So this is the system. And immediately when I go here, the system already says this license has expired, is not valid anymore. And I have to add a license right now to the system to work on. So this I immediately get to this dialog. Very important is right now this hardware key. If you're a little bit familiar with SAP, you have your sub-license, and sub-license means get, and there's a hardware key. This is what you have to copy, and there's one page that's here, the sap.com mini sub. This is a landing page for all our test and free versions which we are giving out. And if you go to this page, sap.com/minisub, you see here, just put in your name as well and email address. You select here the HXE SAP HANA Express Edition, and after maybe 2 or 5 minutes you get an email with this TXT which I've shown you a little bit before. And this you can just use in this dialog, install license, and you take this text file, just open it, install it, and then you see you have a permanent license which is valid for 1 year. And as I said, you can renew this license at any time. So and then you say, okay, I do not know. Do you think that was very big deal to install? I think it's pretty easy to go forward. I think that's more or less. I don't know if you right now, if I suggest you were more from the administration part, I don't know if you right now want to see how to create the table and how to insert the table. I think this is standard SQL, which you right now, because you have here the possibility to open SQL windows and to right now start creating objects, selecting. So this is right now what the developer can do and go on. So far, any questions about HANA Express? Colleagues from you? Any questions? Okay. So I think that was pretty fast and easy to set up a HANA for doing development. Important to know, we have Python, as I said, Python, Perl. You can do shell scripting over the command line. So these are different options really to work on, go and develop your own stuff. And if you want to do GUI for GL, like Oracle Forms comparable, we have the Sybase Power Designer, which is as well prepared to work together with HANA. So you can build really your client-server programs with this language. So in the past, we have maybe get blamed for MaxDB that we do not have the development tools. This is right now different after we have acquired Sybase. All the tools from Sybase right now are HANA enabled, and you can use it and you can do your development.
Wow, nice.
Then I only can say, take a chance, download it, take it, try it, play around.
Thanks.
Okay.